Hi, we're Secondary English, and this is our Capstone project for EDM 310. Our lesson plan is based on characterization and using the STEEL method, and we chose The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald for our project. And this is a good project to use after we've gone through and read the book already, so we can go and review all of the characters and the plots and the settings and anything else that we need to analyze. And the primary learning objectives, according to our Alex lesson plan, is to analyze how the setting, characters, and plot affect the overall novel, identify and define indirect characterization, read closely to determine what the text says about characters, to cite specific text evidence when writing to support details about stated characters, to write a character analysis that analyzes one of the characters or all of the characters in The Great Gatsby, to identify and explain methods of characterization in the work of literature, and to understand persuasive techniques. And we have implemented a number of interactive PowerPoint techniques and other ed puzzles and a video, which we will discuss now.
So we just hyperlinked the ed puzzle into the PowerPoint. So I'm just going to click on it there. Log in. Alright, so the ed puzzle just kind of goes over the characters, how they're related, and how they kind of tie into each other, and what their actions are throughout the video, or throughout the novel. Who's having an affair with? So who is Tom Buchanan having an affair with? We'll ask the students, and they'll answer. And who does he murder? It's Jay Gatsby. It's driven by Daisy. So after the ed puzzle, if we notice that students aren't quite getting it or raising their hand or eager to say what's going on, then we will have highlighted notes discussing each character, their traits, and what they do that impacts the novel. We would go over inferences that the students had based on the title, discuss what's so great about Gatsby, and just kind of trace the development of the characters as they go through right after this Ed puzzle, and we'll introduce the Steele method and why that's relevant. Once again, if the students aren't quite getting it, then later on in the PowerPoint it will kind of highlight for them why every character does what they do.
Next, we'll go into the procedures of the lesson plan, and this is where we start our characterization of each character of the story, The Great Gatsby. First, we'll learn, just go over about what the characters are, which is a person of the story, and then we'll lead into the actual characterizations. The characterization is a process by which the writer reveals the personality of the character. There are two types of characterization. There's direct characterization and indirect. And direct basically tells the audience what the personality of the character is, and indirect, it shows the things that reveal the personality of the character, which leads us into the Steele method. And this is where our interactive part of the PowerPoint comes into play, which introduces the Steele method. And you go over each letter and they represent what the character, a part of the character. Speech starts with what the character basically is saying, like how the character speaks, or his context of things that he says during the story. Our thoughts is what is revealed through the character's thoughts, like what is he thinking throughout the narration of the story, how does he feel about certain other characters of the story or certain things that are going on. The E is the effect towards others on the character. How does one character feel about another based on how they're speaking or their thoughts or something, or how they're displaying themselves. The A is the actions. What does the character do? You explain like what the character does basically. And then it leads to the looks. And what does the character look like? How does he dress? Can you tell what type of person the character is based on how he looks? And here we go into the different types of characterization. The first one we have direct characterization, and then we have indirect characterization. And this slide is the example of direct or indirect characterization, and you basically ask decide which one is direct or indirect. And you basically go over the question. The student would pick whether it's direct or indirect. In this case, it's indirect. And then you choose which method was more effective in developing the character, whether it be direct or indirect characterization.
Since the students will be using the Steele method to analyze characters, we've created an iMovie with examples, and first we'll show a clip from the video, which the examples will be from.
When I think about it, the history of the summer really began the night I drove over to my cousin Daisy's for dinner. She lived across the bay in Old London, East Egg. Her husband was heir to one of America's wealthiest families. His name was Tom Buchanan. When we were at Yale together, he'd been a sporting star, but now his glory days were behind him and he contented himself with other affairs.
But I told you not to call me here.
What?
Shakespeare!
Tom! Oh!
How's the great American novel coming?
I'm selling bonds now with Walter Chase's outfit.
Let's get after dinner. You and I will go to town.
Can't.
Catch up with the wolf pack.
Good day on the job tomorrow.
Nonsense. We're going. First team, All-American. Chief, maybe who I am today. Forrest Hill.
golden girl. A breathless, warm flow from her. A promise that there was no one else in the world she so wanted to see.
Do they miss me in Chicago?
Yes, at least a dozen people said their love.
How gorgeous.
They're absolutely in mourning. They're crying. Yes,
I
they're
don't believe
wailing.
I don't
Screaming.
believe
They're shouting, Daisy, we can't live without you.
I'm paralyzed with happiness.
Oh,
Jordan Baker, a very famous golfer.
oh. She was the most frightening person I'd ever seen. Well, I've seen your face on the cover of Sporting Life. Nick Carroll. But I enjoyed looking at her.
I've been lying on that sofa for as long as I can remember.
This summer I'll sort of glue you two together. I'll push you into linen closets and out to sea in boats.
I'm not listening to a word.
So, Nick, Daisy tells me that you're over in West Ag. Throwing your lot in with those social climbing, primitive, no money types.
My little shack's just a cardboard box at 80 a month.
Your life is adorable.
I know somebody in West Ag.
I don't know a single person that side of the bay.
Oh, you must know Gatsby.
Gatsby. What Gatsby?
Madame, the dinner is served.
And now for our iMovie.
The still method. The still method is a useful tool to analyze characters. This video will provide you all with examples for each letter in the acronym. The examples used are from the movie clip, but you will each use examples from the book for the assignment. Speech. Nick, the narrator, begins the story of his summer by introducing his family in East Egg. He gives a brief introduction of his cousin's husband, Tom Buchanan. Nick says he knows Tom from their college years at Yale University, where Tom was a sporting star. As an Ivy League graduate and businessman, Nick speaks using proper English. Thoughts. Nick said Tom contented himself with other affairs, indicating that he thinks Tom is a man of secrets. Effect. Tom acts with superiority and carries himself like a man of great importance, causing Nick to feel uncomfortable. Tom is proud of his wealth and makes it evident to those around him. In result, Nick feels out of place because he is in a lower social class than Tom. Actions. Tom is a boisterous man who is confident and slightly overpowering. He behaves in an inappropriate and disrespectful manner by breaking his vow to Daisy through involving himself with another woman. He also disrespects the people living in West Egg by describing them as social climbing, primitive new money types. Looks. Daisy's lavish wearables display a clear representation of her social class. Her jewelry is extravagant and unmissable. In the scene, she is wearing a showy yet tasteful gown for dinner.
Okay, so after this, we'll have slides, and each slide will have a different character. We'll split the class into groups, and together they can come up with examples for each letter. So then we just have one for the main characters.